Then Matt was like, hey, you want to wrestle, John? And I was just like, fuck yeah, I want to wrestle. So we, had a great match. Another one of my favorite matches. I took a gnarly power bomb. That was actually one of the more painful things I've experienced in wrestling. And my ass, believe it or not, knocked out Matt DeMorris.
You knocked out the chin with the Johnny Boy ass.
His chin went right into my ass, and it just knocked him out. He was sitting there, and he had me in a pin, but he didn't move after I kicked out, and he was just literally sitting upright but knocked out. And then he came to, so he was just like, I had no idea where I was, and I look over and I'm just like, holy shit, he knocked me out with his ass.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Global Backyard Wrestling Nation Podcast, the #1 backyard wrestling podcast on planet Earth, simply because we are the only backyard wrestling podcast anywhere. I am your host, as always, Red Hazard. And 2 weekends ago, I was a big part of the EWA Chaos Super Show, hosted by the Elite Wrestling Association, where I wrestled a no disqualification match against one Dr. John Bowes. The very first time ever I got to have a one-on-one with John Bowes at EWA Chaos, and I'll tell you, it was good. I actually enjoyed the match quite a bit. We utilized a lot of weapons, double stomp on the signs, bulldog in the chairs, that kind of deal. Really fun stuff. I'd love to have just a normal singles match with him, utilize some more moves and reversals. But as it was with all the weapons, I think we told a decent story. And like I said, I had fun with it. So later on in the day, we had a Battle Royal. The Chaos Battle Royal, I won't spoil who won it since the footage isn't out yet. But I'll say this, with that match and the main event onward, Killing with Kindness movement definitely in full effect, full swing in the EWA, and I'm very happy to be a part of that storyline, enjoying my time in the Elite Wrestling Association. And I know the general consensus is that the EWA isn't what it used to be during its height in 2009, 2010, going into the first couple Elites and stuff, before a lot of the UWA influence with the revival. Pretty much before the first time EWA went defunct. But I seem to really enjoy the atmosphere. It is a smaller roster, but in that sense, you have more focused storylines, you have more focused wrestlers. They know how to wrestle everyone, essentially, because they've done it a few times. When you think about it, a lot of people traveling from state to state, you always have fresh faces, a lot of times fresh matches that you've never seen before. And there's so many people in the GBYWN that you can have fresh matches at almost every card. But the EWA allows for that familiarity to have a series of matches over a period of time. Ryan Rage versus Joey Adams is a very good example of this. They've wrestled 3 times since I've been going to these shows, and every single time it gets better. And that's something that in some cases you have to wait years to see the rematches, to see these guys improve and get better with every single match. These 2 men from EWA have wrestled 3 times in essentially, a little less than a year, maybe 8 months, 9 months time. And you can see the jump in the chemistry between them in this third and final match I assume final, who knows. So I enjoy that atmosphere. I know I'll get to wrestle Bose again in the future if I stick around, as well as a couple other guys that I would not mind wrestling. It is a fun atmosphere. Very rushed, but at the same time, to me, it's almost like a challenge. You get there, you have your certain set amount of time to get the match ready, and then after that, it's a lot of working on the fly. And I enjoy working on the fly. So it's something that I perceive as not just fun, but also challenging in a way. And that's what I really like about the EWA right now. So fun and challenging, why not give it a shot, you know what I mean? Just last weekend, I got to be a part of BXW Finest Tournament, both day 1 and day 2. Day 1, I got to wrestle Drake Genocide, former Radical Movement member, back with the second iteration of the Radical Movement. But I've never gotten the opportunity to wrestle him. It was a very fun match. I really enjoy having big man versus little man matches where I get thrown around and I have to do something other than leg work. I'm so used to getting stuck in a mode where, you know, I have that, people say I have that retro classic 80s, 70s style, which I really do, and it can be slow and boring sometimes, so I like to change it up a little, which I did with Genocide. I worked the arm, and I'm really glad Daniel Devine wasn't there to see that, but I worked the arm during the entire match, and it told a great story of how I was trying to overcome the odds by chopping down the tree from the arm and stopping him from utilizing that Tiger driver, that double underhook pile driver, and the clever way that he is able to lock it on later on in the match without actually using his arm to lift me. I thought it was a good story, so please, when that footage comes out, check out my match with Drake Genocide as he defended the Intercity Championship against me. On day 2, though, Day 2, a very different style match for me. Once again, I wanted to change things up, and I felt like my matches kind of go long. They go real long. They have a huge story built into them, you know, Rad Hazard trying to wear down the face. And this time, I just wanted to go all out. I wanted to do a backyard style match. You know, psychology's great. Let's throw psychology out the window a little bit. Let's throw that story out the window. Let's just have two guys throw bombs at each other throughout the entire match, X Division style. And that is why I was so excited to wrestle James Connolly for the GBYWN World X Division Championship. I like to think I really impressed a couple people with some stuff. I mean, when was the last time you seen Rad Hazard do a wheelbarrow arm drag? A spinning sit-out powerbomb? These are things I've never really done before, so I really wanted to give that a chance and try it. And I really like the match. I really like the finish, too. Please check out the finish. And I am so proud of that match. I really hope people see that and see that I can work a different style and a faster pace, and maybe I'll utilize that a little more in my matches in the future. But BXW is still chugging along. Last year, I booked most of the second half of BXW for 2013. This year, Chris Urban and Mike Damage are booking most of the shows. I'm more of a storyline consultant, I guess you'd say. For instance, if you've enjoyed Killa K searching for a tag team partner, the three-way feud for the X Division title between Connolly, Brown, and Mark Electric. If you've enjoyed my stealing of the Pure title, having the Pure title return to Damage, and now I'm attempting to get a title shot from Mike Damage. The potential stepdads breakup as Marky isn't there all the time. Now the stepdads aren't there all the time. Lots of friction between them. If you enjoy those storylines, it's pretty much coming from me, and I really hope you like them. I'm continuing to take Mike and Chris's bookings and pretty much, you know, put a little salt and pepper on them. Just spice them up with these storylines. Make the matches that they book a little more important. Try to fit them into these feuds and really give you a unique experience that I really don't believe is in any other promotion right now in the GBYWN. I really like what BXW's slowly becoming for this year, and I think by the end of the year, you will see a full circle of storylines and a lot of blow-offs and a lot of satisfying moments throughout the year of 2014. So please, keep up with that. Watch the shows back to back. Enjoy the storylines. And I hope you enjoy my editing. I'm trying to make the shows a little shorter so people can enjoy them faster. And keep up with those storylines because they're going to be going places. I guarantee it. I know other promotions, they have big storylines that don't end up getting the big payoffs. I want BXW to be the promotion that has the big payoffs in the end. And I think we've proven it in the past. We're going to prove it even more this year in 2014. Now, around this point in the podcast, I would start going off of the recent Global Backyard Wrestling Nation events. But the actual next event on the list is New Era's Homeward Bound, the reunion show that they had in Massachusetts in February. And unfortunately, the footage isn't out yet on that. So I'm kind of holding off. I'm a little hesitant on throwing up the results to the show, as well as the fact that I don't have the full results yet. It would even be a partial recap as is. So we are going to hold off for this episode on those GBYW event recaps. But to be honest, there's not too many to recap, so I'm sure in the following episodes, we'll easily catch up to the media that is out at the time. Now, what that means is that even though we are going to have a shorter episode, it just means you're going to get that interview that much sooner. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for yet another piece of the Johnny Boy Trilogy. Here we go. So let's get on to how exactly to discover BXW, because that's something interesting to me. You haven't gone to many like feds,
Yeah.
So BXW was your first big, quote unquote, big fed in Yarding, would you
Right.
say?
Yeah, definitely. BXW is, the biggest fed I've ever really been able to be a major part of. And, I actually didn't discover BXW. It was really Justin Henry, because he was really into the forums. I mean, I had made a couple posts and, every now and then. But for the most part, it was really him who was all into that. And he had told me, hey, these guys in BXW, they want us to come to their show in August, and it was Dami, North Korea. It was the very first one. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'm down. So me and him, actually his mom had driven us, so she went to the Allentown Mall while we, just wrestled there. I actually wrestled in a triple threat with Mark Electric and this other guy, I think his name was Nick Warrior, but I hadn't seen him since. And then later on I had wrestled B-Cube and Drake Genocide in a triple threat that same day. I was double booked, which was a lot of fun. I took the drunk bitch driver, that was like the first big pile driver I had taken in my life, and I was terrified, but it was awesome.
Did you know who Big Cubed and Genocide were at the time, or?
Actually, I didn't, but he knew me because he knew my cousin Sean. So yeah, anyway, that's pretty much how that match happened. Was he saw me and I told him who I was. I was like, yeah, my buddy Sean, or my cousin Sean, and he's just like, oh, I know who that guy is. So we ended up having a match, and it was a lot of fun.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed by you remember your first BXW matches and like that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I'm sure you remember your first BXW match too, though.
Oh, I do, because it was Patrick Wade Wilson giving me the Pride Driver.
Oh, yeah. Wait, that was your first match?
That was my first BXW match.
Oh, man.
I literally debuted
first-
and then main evented PKM.
That's awesome.
Accidentally. And then got Pride Driver in front of like 80 people.
Yeah, I don't think I was Yeah, I haven't been to many PKMs. I know I was at either.
I wasn't at the
third or
first one.
fourth. I wasn't at like the first three because they always fell during the time of my like sister's dance recitals, like each year consecutively.
Weird.
So that was rough. So yeah, that's how I discovered BXW.
Have you been to EWA? I feel like I saw you there once.
I've been there twice.
Okay, how was that?
Actually, I think it was twice. I don't know. I liked it, but it was a far drive. I mean, it actually wasn't much farther than BXW, but the drive was pretty rough. My first match, I wrestled against Justin Henry, which was like, you know, the millions of matches that me and him have had.
Default match for you, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I think my second time going was it was one of their tournaments. I think it was the Elite Tournament, and I wrestled in a tag match, me and Justin Henry, and we wrestled Ryan Rage and Joey
Adams?
Joey Adams,
They were 2XL.
Yeah, 2XL, and they had beaten us within like 30 seconds. So after that, I don't think I really went back to EWA. I feel like I've been there one other time, because I remember I took a scoop slam from Bose on the ground. Like, he literally just walked out, like, scoop slammed me, and then I left. So I've jogged at EWA a couple times. It was fun, but you know, I haven't really been there too much since, because.
But you were there at like their height then, like 2010.
Yeah,
when they were really big.
Yeah, they had a ring the first time I went there.
Okay, so yeah, Justin, it was like 2010.
And then after the next time was when they had that bass.
Terrible bass. I hear to this day I still hear horror stories about that bass.
Oh my god, it was by far the stiffest bass. I'm still sore from it.
I don't think you can play
I'm just
any better
kidding.
way.
But I like the guys from EWA. Like, whenever they would come around here, it was always a real treat. But for the most part, I never really went to many other feds other than ETTW and BXW.
Well, you've been only to a handful of feds,
Yeah.
but do you feel
OCWS and like 3BW a few times.
Oh, really? You've been to 3BW? I didn't know that.
Actually, no, just once actually.
Okay.
I wrestled Matic Static, and that was actually one of my favorite matches that I've had in a
I don't know,
while.
maybe that's just slipping my mind, but I did not know that.
Yeah, it was a great time.
So do you feel the difference in every fed you go to, or do you think it's all the same, just with kind of slightly different people?
It's definitely all the same with slightly different people,
Okay,
in my opinion.
all right.
But it's not like that's a bad thing, you know. Like,
No, it's not.
I've never gone to a backyard wrestling show where I didn't feel, you know, just completely welcomed and like I was surrounded with friends. Even if it's like they're people I hardly know, I'd be able to talk to them for God knows how long. Like, especially when I went to Florida, it just felt like BXW, but in the tropics.
BXW on vacation.
Yeah, BXW on vacation. That's what that's honestly what it felt like.
Nice.
So that was a great time. So yeah, I really enjoyed traveling, but not something I'm going to be able to do too much in the future. So
see, that's why I'm glad you're here at BXW, because this is kind of the hub where most people travel.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
At some point, we have almost every single person in the United States.
That's definitely true.
You know?
I've gotten to meet a lot of people just from coming to BXW shows, so it's definitely a good home fed to have.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I'm glad. I'm definitely glad to be here. All right. So you pointed out specifically backyard shows feel welcome. Have you been backstage at a lot of indie shows? How's that work for you?
Yeah, not really. I mean, I've been in the crowd at indie shows where I've like kind of known like a wrestler or two there, but it's just, I don't know. I never really went to the indie scene. I've heard a lot of just bad stories from other people. They're like, yeah, like, you know, they started indie, but they, you know, oh, so and so's an asshole. They always look down on you for being a yarder, and it's just kind of like, screw that. I don't want to work an indie show. And then I actually know that I did work a kind of indie show with Bless. It was like indie style, but it was like outside in Maryland. We both got paid $25
Wow,
to go.
that's random.
And me and him had the shittiest match I've ever had in my entire life. And they told me, you guys do too many big spots. That's what they said. They said, you gotta be, you know,
More sleeper holes.
more
huh?
sleeper holes, right? And I'm just thinking, are you guys serious? And what they would do when they would go out and wrestle, they would just kind of roll over each other. It was like two big fat guys, and they would wrestle, and not a single suplex, nothing. The finisher was a sidewalk slam. Right? And they wrestled real old school. Like, we're talking like real.
We're talking
real
early
old
80s,
Yeah.
70s even.
school. Yeah. So
Back when a suplex was the finish.
exactly, yeah, suplex was definitely the finish of their style of matches. They had one person did a moonsault, and it was this skinny kid. And that was actually the finish of his match too. So, you know, I mean, me and him didn't do too bad things. I missed a 450, which was cool. That was the last 450 I've ever done, but they didn't enjoy us too much. They told us we did too much.
Wow.
So
So you got your $25 hauled
I got
ass.
my $25 and never looked back.
Why don't you do your 450, man? That sounds like it'd be awesome.
The
to
next
see
time,
you
actually,
try.
no. The next time I tried, it was against Mark. I did not. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people who do 450, so I don't know. Maybe someday when I get in better shape.
There you go. I fight hard enough just to do a moonsault. You kidding
Yeah.
me?
But
I do a spinning elbow now. That's my big high flying move.
yeah, well, it's awesome. You know?
Yeah. Well, thanks. I'm treasure. I try, but oh man, speaking of high fly, your frog splash is crazy, man.
Yeah, people have told me I squash people, but you know what? That's
It looks so.
that's
good,
what I gotta
though.
do to get it to
Yeah.
look good. Yeah,
I personally would be squashed to make it look that good.
Thanks, Rad. Yeah, I should have told you before I matched that. Hey, my frog splash is gonna squash you, but
You did tell me.
did I?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's, you know, I went through a little stage where I wasn't sure if I was going to keep it or not, and I wasn't doing too good. That's because I really went out of my way to not squash the person. But now that, you know, it's like,
Just make it special.
I'm going to make it look good, but it's going to hurt a little bit. So,
Yeah. Not gonna tickle.
Yeah, definitely doesn't feel good, that's for sure.
So you've never had aspirations to go pro then?
I did when I was younger, but it's just really for fun. You know, I love what I'm doing. I wouldn't be against going pro, but I don't think I have the talent. No, I'm not so much, I would say, the talent, but I'm just not. I don't think I'm clean enough in the ring. I do botch a lot, and I like to wrestle yard style more than I would pro style. Because in the yard, you can pretty much do anything. You don't have to worry about psychology. You know, I don't think I've ever really been like, all right, I'm gonna work your arm, make your arm hurt, and like we're gonna sell it as if your arm hurts. I just kind of go out and do moves. It's fun to me. You know, I'd like it that way. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it, like I said, but I'm not gonna really climb, in my opinion. So
Alright.
BXW is where I'm gonna stay.
Hey, I'm glad for that, man. I'm glad you're around. Because I've seen people come in here and once they go pro, they never see him again. You know?
Just like Justin Henry.
Oh, just like Justin Henry. If you hear
That's right.
this,
Yeah, Justin Henry, I'm
Yeah.
talking to you.
he's gonna be like driving his car and it's gonna go off and he's gonna swerve and go scared to death. But
The
yeah,
antivirus of professional wrestling, Johnny Boy.
oh man, those antitoxins.
Yeah.
The vaccine, Johnny boy.
The vaccine.
Vaccine driver.
he gives him the vaccination.
The vaccination, perfect.
The flu shot.
See, you were talking about backyard style, and I think a lot of people, it's something you don't think about, but if somebody talks about it, it's there. Like backyard wrestling, when you start, very much just imitating what you see.
Yeah.
But I think us, and at least in our little community, have grown enough to where it's definitely its own style.
Yeah,
You know.
I would definitely agree with that.
Like Mike and I have watched matches in pro and said, "Oh, that was a backyard style match."
Yeah, definitely.
You know, so I think that's kind of cool that we've kind of made that
Made that a thing.
yeah, made that a thing where it's actually its own style.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's really cool. All right, so let's get into BXW then.
Alrighty.
Jump in there. You were the Mid-Atlantic champion.
Yep.
Since you remember these matches really well, do you remember how you felt on with the match and
Oh, it was
all
awesome.
that kind of thing?
I wrestled Adam Bolt Burnett, Jordan.
Yep.
Awesome match. Actually, one of my favorite matches I've had, and it was a great feeling, great time. Just an awesome match, one of my favorites. Trying to beat him with the frog splash too, and that was actually one of my when I first started squashing people. I told him, listen, I'm gonna jump really high for this frog splash, so be prepared. And he said, all right, and I did it, and it squashed him, but it was awesome.
So what year are we talking? 2011?
I think this was actually 2011.
Okay.
I have to look at the video, but
Yeah.
it was definitely around that time.
At that, let's say around that point, what do you think your biggest match was up to that point? Like, say it's 2011, you're getting your first belt, you're starting to get pushed by, the BXW guys.
I don't know if that was before or after Goodbye when I wrestled Matt. I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was before, I wrestled Matt before that. So my biggest match then was probably against Matt at Goodbye. And that was an awesome match. I got thrown in that. I'm sure if anybody who listens was at that Goodbye, they know the Gauntlet, the 45-minute shit show with Brian, Justin, myself, and like 5 others. But I was so upset at that match, and I remember Kale's cat died, Tommy Flambeau, and Matt was supposed to wrestle him, and I'm just sitting there, just got back from Subway, and I'm just all like, yeah, whatever. My match sucked, but everybody was hating on it. It was like got the worst superlatives, but then Matt was like, hey, you want to wrestle, John? And I was just like, fuck yeah, I want to wrestle. So we, had a great match. Another one of my favorite matches. I took a gnarly power bomb. That was actually one of the more painful things I've experienced in wrestling. And my ass, believe it or not, knocked out Matt DeMorris.
You knocked out the chin with the Johnny Boy ass.
His chin went right into my ass, and it just knocked him out. He was sitting there, and he had me in a pin, but he didn't move after I kicked out, and he was just literally sitting upright but knocked out. And then he came to, so he was just like, I had no idea where I was, and I look over, and I'm just like, holy shit, he knocked me out with his ass.
Wow.
Awesome time, though. I love wrestling Matt. A lot of fun.
Man. I love wrestling Matt, too. I've only wrestled him once. I wish I could wrestle him 50 more times. Really.
Yeah, I definitely think everybody can agree with Matt. Matt is definitely one of the funnest and easiest people to wrestle.
Oh, totally. I could say the same thing about you, though. You were fun to plan with and just in the match.
Thanks. Yeah, that's really what it's all about to me. I hate when people take it way too seriously, because it's just kind of like, man, it's just a match. It's just a match. You have good ones, you have bad ones, but you're wrestling in the yard. If you're gonna take it super seriously, then go to the pros, in my opinion. But I mean,
I agree.
There definitely is. You definitely do want to take it with some sort of sincerity. If you goof around, nobody's gonna want to watch our stuff. But there's definitely a level of seriousness. There's a line where you get too serious, and it's just kind of like, listen, man, this is backyard wrestling, but you don't want to be too goofed off, because then it's just kind of like, what are you doing?
Right. Well, I think in most matches, just the fact that you drove here and you planned out your match, you already kind of got enough seriousness.
Exactly.
And that's why when I wrestled you, we got through the first couple of spots, and I was like, oh, all right, this is really laid back, easy going.
Yeah.
And then it gets you in a good vibe, and I think it improves the match. The more comfortable you are, the easier it gets.
Yeah, that's
so it works
definitely true.
That's just my opinion. So do you think that kind of quote unquote got you on the map? That match with Matt?
Yeah, that definitely was one of my bigger matches that got my name kind of out there, and it was an awesome feeling. So
nice.
And after that, I had that match with Jordan not too long ago, and that definitely helped me a lot. And then I wrestled Matt a second time, champion versus champion, and that match was actually one of my favorites also. Probably just as good as the one at Goodbye, I would say, but different. Definitely a lot of different things we did. So,
do you try to make the rematches always feel different like that? Do you go out your way to do that, or they just happen to be that way?
Yeah, well, yeah, they usually do just happen to be that way, because I always think like, oh, what can I do in this that I didn't do before, and sometimes I'll do things that are like the same. Like I go back to our match, like for when me and you we did the Dragon's Gate out of midair, and this time I drop kicked you out of midair with the Dragon's Gate. So there was a little bit of a difference there, but I didn't. Everything else was completely different. So.
Are you familiar with the King's Road concept?
No.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine. I wasn't for a long time.
All right.
King's Row is essentially every time you have a rematch with somebody, you counter what they did, and then it adds like an extra spot. RVD versus Jerry Lynn is a King's Road, where the first time they wrestled, they just had a match.
Right.
The second time they wrestled, they did almost the exact same spots, but the other guy would reverse it.
Okay.
And then the next time they wrestled, they would do that and then have a reversal for that.
Yeah, I guess.
And that's why the first time they wrestled, it was like, I don't know if it was the first time, but the first couple times were like 10, 15 minutes. And then by the end, they were having 30-minute draws and hour-long draws and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And that was what they did. So, inadvertently, you didn't know.
Yeah,
but we did at King's Road.
That's kind of what I was going for. Like,
you countered my counter.
I've seen Rad Hazard going at the top, calling for the Dragon's Gate, and he got me in the air. So now I know how to get him back. I'll just drop kick his face.
Exactly. There you go. It was on the button too. You got me good.
Yep.
And we are gonna have to hold off right there. But I know you are enjoying this interview with the one and only BXW champion Johnny Boy. And we're gonna have more next time on the podcast. But in the meantime, I have I got something in my throat. I got a problem. I got something in my gut. Something in my chest. I gotta get out. I gotta get it out, guys. Because this is something only a Mark would complain about. Gotta clear that throat. Gotta clear that throat for this rant. This rant about the lack of tag team wrestling in backyard wrestling. Something that we actually did utilize quite a bit last year and didn't utilize in many of the years beforehand. And this year, unfortunately, looks to be a lot of the same. Not too many tag team matches on these cards so far, folks. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. Because there's a lot that we can get out of tag teams. First off, how many times have all of these people wrestled each other? I was talking about the IWC Now, Backyard Wrestling 203, and how they wrestle each other 1.5 billion times. Well, in a tag team feud, everything changes. Suddenly, 2 men feuding with 2 other men. You can switch it around. You can have one hate the other and then hate his partner afterwards. You can have so much going on with feuds. You can extend the life of an already existing feud. You can begin a new one. Tag team feuds. They're more than just the breakup storylines at the end. The breakup storylines should be for those who fail at being a tag team. Not to mention just creating a tag team gives not 1 but 2 men a spotlight. And I see this with some feuds recently, and how 2, 3, 4, 5 guys will come out, but then they'll all wrestle individual matches. And I understand, yeah, that's to kind of pad out the card with this faction and give them that spotlight, but I'm telling you, you put them in a tag team match. Suddenly, if you have 4 or 5 guys, you have multiple different types of tag teams. You can use the Freebirds rules with the tag team titles. Give them that unpredictability of who's gonna wrestle, what's gonna happen, what double team moves are we gonna see. And you know I love double team moves, especially the finishers. You throw finishers together in some form of double team wackiness, and you've got yourself a whole new move that no other team does. Multiple people will do code breakers, they'll do stunners, they'll do whatever. But nobody other than that team will do that double team move. And you're giving them the spotlight they deserve, they need to get over. You put them in a great match. You put them in that double team situation, and suddenly, even if the rest of their moveset sucks, that double team will be worth watching. And suddenly those people are being watched. The match aspect of every single tag team match. We were talking tag team ladder matches, tag team hardcore matches. We're talking tag team gauntlet matches. Matches that are almost never seen in the backyard wrestling world, and they should be. They should be, because they completely change the aspect of that gimmick match. I tell you people, there is a huge difference between a fatal 4-way ladder match and a tag team ladder match. If you do it right. And that's why I go to the next subject. Tag team psychology. Something you do not see in any other kind of match, if done correctly. If you do a tag team match and it looks like a crazy fatal 4-way, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong because you have to utilize those tags. You have to utilize the heels beating on the faces making the comeback. You have to utilize the double team maneuvers. The whole point of tag team wrestling is to keep the action going, keep the full pace. And that is another reason why you should have more tag teams. Because I know, there are people out there who have absolutely zero stamina. And why? Why put that person through hell in a 10-minute match when you can put them in a tag team match where they only have to wrestle half the time? They get to recover, they get to recoup. You are hiding those flaws. And the more you hide flaws in the match, the better the match will be, no matter who is involved. And speaking of better tag teams, the championship. I personally recognize the World Tag Team titles to be equal, and I mean absolutely equal, to the GBYWN World Championship, the singles title. Why? Because that means that our alliance isn't just showcasing one man as the top guy. It is showcasing 3 at all times. It gives 3 men the spotlight that most people only give 1. And that is a great thing because it gives more people those views, more people that recognition that honestly a lot of people deserve and just don't get. And as you know right now, the world title is in the United Kingdom. So it gives more people something to accomplish here in the States. Oh, I can win the world title. I can do a storyline as the world tag team champion. I can feud with other major tag teams. Maybe do a couple main events. Really try to bust my ass into having some fantastic matches. It's motivation, people. That's a huge part of what these belts represent. Motivation. And tag team championships can definitely accomplish that for those who are very talented, but just need a little pick-me-up, need some reason to really go out there and kick ass. I am telling you now, Global Backyard Wrestling Nation, if you follow these words and you build a successful tag team division, you take the people who don't do anything on their own, you throw them together, you make tag teams, you give them double team moves, you put them in unique tag team matches. And you see, that's how you get people not only over, but you give your show, you give those wrestlers, and you give the viewers at home a fresh new perspective, fresh new gimmicks. We didn't even get into that. The fact that one man could share his gimmick with another that doesn't have a very good gimmick, suddenly 2 becomes 1, and they're both over. Ready to take on the world, motivated to have the absolute best matches they can, and defend or win those world tag team titles that you put on a pedestal and give people a reason to watch. Because if they see the world tag team titles, they should think This is gonna be an incredible match. And then they will watch you and they will view your shows. And that is what you want. Isn't it, promoters? Isn't it, wrestlers? You want those views, right? I'm telling you, you do tag team wrestling right, you get the views. Because it's Logic 101, folks. If something doesn't work, you change it. And if singles wrestling isn't your cup of tea, maybe tag team wrestling is for you. And that goes for wrestlers and bookers. But hey, that's something only a mark would complain about.
I got the biggest boner for science.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another GBYWN broadcast brought to a close. A shorter episode, yes. Bite-sized, perhaps. But we gave you all the goods. We gave you everything you want. And we'll give you more, including Backyard Wrestling event results, next time. So as always, I am Red Hazard. Please enjoy the sounds of Backyard Wrestling. And we will see you next time here on the Global Backyard Wrestling Nation Podcast.
Shut your fucking mouth. This mic still smells like piss though. Fuck. Always smelling like pee. Sometimes when I grab, I wanna push you with my mind like you're just a little girl and my last name is Divine. Thank God he unconfirmed, or I wouldn't waste my time shooting steroids in his stomach as he makes your girlfriend cry. Tech is doing cannonballs while Bo's is snorting lines. Dick is on a picnic table acting like he died. Renegade is crying on the forums, no invite. Warren's keys are stolen so there's no more DUIs. Don can never keep control of Steve. Ritalin is just for kids who don't know how to read. Trey is gonna give some heat till KKK has no more teeth. Two steps like, hey guys, Don just said he is in love with me. So take a little money, get a car and take a leave. I can't wait to see you fags at NYE. Push him out!
When I saw your bitch looking super clean, it made me very happy. Come do drugs and sit in the sun, wrestle, swim, and have lots of fun. Let me sing a tune about where I'm gonna be with Dom, Ben, Froggy, and see that NYE.
NYE, baby girl.
Oh.
Hotter than balls, middle of July. Gonna get my tan on, blacker than sky. Cooperstown, New York, running the show. Big league as fuck, forget B Snow. Show of the year, no it's a lock. Gonna be bigger than Trey's moose cock. Bunch of cool dudes coming to hang loose. Like an Eric Douglas finger bang, everyone hides as Reaper takes a line. And Mike and I enforce rule number 9. Show is good, place a bet. Zeke breaks down the entire set. Andrew will watch so he doesn't break in half. He has more injuries than Marshall has fat. Pick on the rats and make them pissed. Give them more scars than Marky's wrist. Sleep intense like one big cluster. Lariat and muscle buster. When I wrestle, take a piss, cause I haven't changed since 2006. Did you hear that, Shane Evans? He agrees.
I think. Beat a homeless man. Steal a lot of money. And fake your own death.
Steal wallets.
Sandwiches. When I saw your bitch looking super clean, it made me very happy. Come do drugs and sit in the sun, wrestle, swim, and have lots of fun. Let me sing a tune about where I'm gonna be with Dom, Ben, Froggy, and see that NYE.
NYE, baby girl.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. I'll see you all there. I'll see you there. Scott Henson, Dan McCabe, Jake Adams, Tara Calloway,
Russ Myers, guys from California. Does California have backyard wrestling?
Kingpin!
Kingpin's coming. He's a surprise.
Yeah.
Lusty lady.
Hello, this is Backyard Superstar Rad Hazard here with some information for all of you who want to follow the GBYWN community. If you are a fan of the Global Backyard Wrestling Nation, please look up the GBYWN Epicenter on group page on Facebook. You will have a blast enjoying all of the new links and discussions from everyone within the community. Also, please check out the GBYWN Twitter account at GBYWN, as well as my personal Twitter account at HeelRadHazard. For more episodes of the GBYWN Epicenter, for the other episodes of the GBYWN podcast, as well as other videos from my personal archive, including new series including full and clipped matches from my career, as well as the retro series GBYWN Backyard Wrestling Monthly, and the Backyard Wrestling Theater. You will love all the videos uploaded every weekday on YouTube. Trust me. If it is too much greatness for you, I'm sorry, you will just have to deal with it. This is Rad Hazard signing off.